And that's good. You know, we did about triple what we've been doing. And we did that sudden jump in 1 week. And the reason we did that sudden jump, and I'm going to go over the numbers in a minute, is because we had more people having more conversations with more leads and more prospects. Anyway, let me read off the top producers, and I'm going to read off everybody that submitted over $1,000 in annualized production. Number one, top of the list is Gary Blazer. He wrote $4,189.32. It's not surprising. He's usually up there. Number two, we got Miss Benita Fowler. She's back in action, and she wrote that she submitted this week $3,927.24. She was breathing down Gary's collar the whole week. Number three, I believe I got this right, is Susan Jones. She's back in action. She wrote $2,627.40. Number four, we got Franz Andre. He wrote $2,334.36. We got Novella Latta Baines. She's written $2,040.60. Larry did a good job training James Miller out in the field this week. Together, they wrote $1,555.20. Then we got the Steady James White, $1,484.52. And I think I've got a correction on Susan here. Instead of 26.27.40, I think it's supposed to be 26.27.40 plus 14.57.16, which I just realized I have. I made a small error in her production. Sorry about that, Susan. Tremendous week. Glad to see you back in action. Patterson Brown out of Virginia, $1,140. Linda Dodd, this is her first week. She's out of North Carolina. She has $1,044. Her first sale was this week. Also this week, Sharon Smith had her first sale, and Earlene Barbie had her first sale also. Expecting great things from these last three people I mentioned. They're all females, so guys, we got to tighten up a little bit. Cannot let the women rule the roost, as they say. But good job to everybody. We had a lot more people writing business, but we got so many writing business, I just want to recognize the people who wrote $1,000 or more and the people that made their very first sale. So good job. And the next thing I wanted to cover is, someone asked me earlier this week, what's the difference between production issued and production recorded or production submitted? The difference is what you wrote this week, that's production submitted. Whatever you wrote, that's production submitted. Now, production issued is what gets issued by the home office. You may write a piece of business, send it up, and it comes back. You may write it, set it up as preferred. It comes back, it needs to be modified for whatever reason. So that did not get issued until you corrected it. So the production issued, that's what the trip is all based about for Senior Life, because anybody can report, a lot of production written, and that's good because that's the first step, but you got to get it issued so you can get paid. So that's the difference between that. Talking a little bit about Rob's call this morning. You want to focus on what you can control. Don't focus on what you cannot control. I mentioned this, I think it was last week or the week before. If you can't control something, don't worry about it. You can't change a thing anyway. Don't let it stress you out. Focus on what you can change. And what you can change is the number of people you're going to see this coming up week. You can change how many leads you're going to invest in this week. You can change how much grind time you're going to put in this week. You can control how early you're going to start, 9 o'clock a.m., 8:45 a.m. You can also control how late you're going to be working leads. That's the things you can control. That's what you should focus on. What happened last week? Don't worry about it. If it was good, clap your hands and say, hey, that's a historical document. That's history. If you had a bad week, shrug it off like a champion. Says a bad week. I'm focused on today and what's going forward, because that's all you can focus on is what's going forward. Everything that's happened already, don't let it stress you out. Things you can't change, don't let it stress you out. Just focus on what you can control. And if you focus on what you can control in this business, everything falls into place. When the dust settles, your income's going up, your advances are going up, down the road, your paper is going up, further on down the road, your renewals are going up. So just focus on this business and don't let things bother you. Don't let the world news bother you. If you see North Korea shooting some test missiles, don't let it bother you. We can't control none of that stuff. Don't even worry about it. Anything else, the virus, we can't make it go away. The Omicron seems to be pretty weak. Share a little story with you. Right now, I have the Omicron virus. My wife does too. I've had my shots, my booster, blah, blah, blah. I had COVID a few months ago. This is the Omicron. It's almost like I don't have anything. I just feel a little congested at times, and that's it. Thank goodness. Maybe I'm lucky. But just focus on what you can do with this business. The news is putting the COVID virus back to the forefront again, like it was last year. Use that to your advantage to make more sales. If Mr. Roy's thinking about, he's got to just think about this, he can't pull the trigger today. I want to say, well, Mr. Roy, you've been watching the news, haven't you? He's going to say, well, yeah. And I'll say, well, you've been hearing all about COVID, right? He's going to say, well, yeah. I say, well, there's no need to put this stuff off, Mr. Roy, because, you might catch COVID tomorrow morning and it may hit you pretty hard. Anyway, just use COVID in your conversation in a casual way. Don't force it down the throat. Don't shove it in the face, but mention it in a nice conversational way about, hey, COVID's around. This is not time to be putting this kind of stuff off by any means, Mr. Roy, because I know you love your family, right? And just put it on, but don't shove it in the face. Just mention it. Don't be afraid to mention it because it's the truth. When you're doing presentations, whether it's on the phone or in the field, you want to make, this is something I learned back in 99 when I got started. It was called SEE, which at first glance you think it means go see the people, and that's true, but SEE stands for, S stands for sincerity, the first E stands for emotion, and the second E stands for enthusiasm. So when you see the people, when you talk to the people, when you have your conversation with the people, be sincere, tell the truth. Don't exaggerate anything. Don't lie about anything, of course, but be sincere, because most of the people we see are senior citizens and they've been across so many salespeople in their lifetime, they can usually smell a rat. So just be sincere with them. Use some emotion. We're talking about death. And, death is not normally a real happy subject, but we're talking about death, and we're talking to the people that requested this information. They mailed the card in, they called the commercial, they went online looking for a quote. Whatever method of them looking for the information, they've requested it. So our job is to deliver the information in the form of a conversation that runs 30, 45 minutes, somewhere thereabouts. Listen to what they say. Don't try to do all the talking, let them do most of the talking. We're listening, making suggestions, nodding our head when appropriate, et cetera, et cetera. So just remember, be sincere with the people, use some emotions, and use some enthusiasm. Like Miss Betty, one of the great things about these state regulated plans is we've got something called Legacy. No other company has that. We're the only carrier in the United States with that. Let me take a moment to explain to you how that's so helpful to everybody. And then you go into the speech about Legacy, talking about all the great benefits it has. Don't say it too fast, say it kind of slow, very conversational. Maybe repeat a sentence a couple of times every here and there throughout your conversation to make sure it really sinks in with Miss Betty, that she can really understand and digest what you're saying. Because it's like this, if she does not understand completely what you're saying, She's got a few question marks in the back of her mind. She's not going to come out and say, can you explain that again? I didn't quite catch that. She's not going to say that. But what she will say is at the end of your presentation, well, I just need to think about it. Call me back in a few months. So take your time, explain legacy carefully, thoroughly, methodically, not too fast. And so she can really, so he or she, the prospects can really appreciate what legacy does, because when they understand it, it helps you close the percent increase. Remember, sometimes people have plenty of insurance. They still respond to one of the ads for some strange reason. They got plenty of insurance when you're talking to them, and you're thinking to yourself, why in the world did they bother to call that commercial? Or why in the world did they bother to send that card in? Who knows? It's kind of a reflexive action, I think. But a lot of times, legacy can help you make a sale there. It's going to be a small sale. What I mean is, when someone's got plenty of insurance, our competitors out there, all they can do is say, well, here's my business card. Call me if I can help you. And they leave disappointed and rejected with their tail tucked between their legs. When we hear that, same objection. Oh, we got plenty of insurance. I don't know why I mailed the card in. I'm sorry to waste your time, blah, blah, blah. No problem. Sometimes they will still take out a small policy with us, not because they need insurance money, but they'll take a policy out because they want that legacy savings for them and for other family members. The 4 other family members gets the exact same savings with legacy, completely free. No age restrictions, no health restrictions. It's immediate savings on day one. Meaning if Miss Jones has got a guaranteed issue with a 3-year waiting period, her legacy savings start on day one. Her 4 family members, their savings start on day one also. It doesn't matter how old or how young, how healthy or how unhealthy they are. It's immediate coverage. Immediate savings for legacy. And legacy can do that because they still make a nice profit, even though they're selling everything for less than half of what a funeral home does. They still make a nice profit. So that kind of lets you know the funeral homes, they make a killing. And when legacy helps negotiate the price of the burial or the price of the cremation, it helps the family save a lot more than just saving on the merchandise. So share legacy, that's our secret weapon that the other agents out there don't have. We've got legacy. So use it and use it well. Use it carefully, use it well, explain it. Take your time. Don't rush through it, because that's one thing that's going to help you make an extra sale here, an extra sale there. And then for the agents that do it in the field, don't forget to tee the leads. Teeing the lead means if Miss Jones is home or not home, if Miss Jones buys or doesn't buy, still go knock on the neighbor on the right-hand side, the neighbor on the left-hand side. And if you feel kind of ambitious, go knock across the street on the neighbor across the street from Miss Betty also. And I'll take just a few moments. If I'm out working leads and I'm teeing a lead, if Miss Betty's not home, I'm going to leave a delivery note on her door that you get from the agent store on the agent portal. If anybody does not know how to get that, you just go to agent.seniorlifeinsurancecompany.com. There's no abbreviation. Pose the question on GroupMe and I'll answer it later. But it's agent.seniorlifeinsurancecompany.com. And I'll leave a delivery note on the door. And then I go knock on the door, say on the right-hand side of Miss Betty. And let's say some gruffy old man comes through the door. I'm going to say the same thing as I normally would to a lead. I'm going to say, yes, sir. I'm hoping you can help me. I was trying to catch up with your neighbor, Betty Jones, with her free information. And when I say, yes, sir, I'm hoping you can help me, all of a sudden his defenses are down. He's not thinking, what do you want? Who are you? He's not thinking. When I say, yes, sir, I'm hoping you can help me. I was trying to catch up with your neighbor, Betty Jones, with her free information. I'm having trouble catching up with her. You know when she might be home usually. Now, Mr. Gruffy neighbor, he might say, well, she doesn't get home after 4 o'clock each day. Or he might say she's out of town. Or he might say she's always on the go. He might say she's in the hospital, but he'll say something. A lot of times it gives me a clue when to come back. If he says she doesn't get home after 4 o'clock each day, I'll say, oh, thank you very much. And I know not to go see Miss Betty till after 4 o'clock later today or tomorrow, depending on what time it is right then when I'm talking to the Gruffield neighbor. And then I'm going to say to that neighbor, I'm going to say, by the way, sir, I don't think we got your card in the mail. And I'm holding Miss Betty's lead card in my hand. Say, by the way, sir, I don't think we got your card back in the mail. Have you mailed it back yet? And then I hush up. By the way, sir, I don't think we got your card back in the mail yet. Have you mailed it in yet? And I pause. It kind of forces him to say something. He's going to say, what kind of card? Remember, he probably got this card, he just did not mail it in. Because senior citizens stay kind of in the same neighborhood. Middle income, low income, they're in the same neighborhood. So usually when Miss Jones got that, mailed that card back, probably most of her neighbors, if not all of her neighbors, got the same card. They just didn't mail it in. So when I'm talking to the neighbor and I say, yes, sir, I don't think we got your card back yet. Have you mailed it in yet? And he says, what kind of card? I'm not going to say it's about insurance, because if I say, oh, it's about insurance, he's going to say, oh, I don't need any of that. I got plenty. I got $100,000 or some nonsense. Don't say insurance. Just say, well, this is that free information about the Social Security death benefit. His ears perk up because he hears Social Security. This is that free information about the Social Security death benefit, the high cost of funerals, and the state regulated plans. I've also got the other information on how people are now saving $3,000 to $5,000 on their funeral expenses. Anyway, it just takes a moment to share it with you. May I come in, please? And usually you can get in the door quite a bit by making it nonchalant, non-threatening, non-intimidating. And I say the same thing word for word. By the way, sir, or by the way, ma'am, that's the only difference. By the way, ma'am, I don't think we got your card back yet. Have you mailed it in yet? What kind of card? Well, this was talking about the free information about the Social Security death benefit, the high cost of funerals, and the state regulated plans. And they're regulated by the State Department of Insurance. So I'm telling the truth. And this is that free information about the Social Security death benefit, the high cost of funerals, and the state regulated plans. I also have the other information on how people are now saving $3,000 to $5,000 on their funeral expenses. Anyway, it takes just a few moments to share it with you. May I come in, please? A lot of times you'll get in because they're curious when you say how people are saving $3,000 to $5,000 on their funeral expenses. In their mind, they're kind of thinking, how do you do that? So they're more likely to let you in the door out of curiosity to find out how do you do that. And at the beginning, we say, this is that free information. It doesn't sound like you're trying to sell anything, which is good. This is the free information about the Social Security death benefit, the high cost of funerals, and the state regulated plans. I also have the other information on how people are now saving $3,000 to $5,000 on funeral expenses. Anyway, it takes just a few moments. May I come in, please? I don't say it's only going to take 15 minutes of your time. If I say that, they're going to say, oh, I don't have time right now. Call me next week. I'm going to say, anyway, it takes just a few moments to share it with you. May I come in, please? Don't forget to say, may I come in, please? Because if you forget to say, may I come in, please, they don't just automatically open the door and say, come on in. I mean, they will some of the time, but a lot of times they're not going to do that. Remember, we are the ones that have to gently guide our prospects, our leads. We have to guide them along in this whole sales process to the finish line of getting the sale. And right off the bat, we got to start guiding them by saying, may I come in, please? If you don't say, may I come in, please, they may not open the door. They'll just look at you and you look at them, and it's awkward and things start to deteriorate and fall apart at that point at the front door. So just say, anyway, it takes just a few moments. May I come in, please? Usually they'll swing the door open and say, come on in. And if you're wearing a face mask around your neck, you can always say, do you want me to pull the face mask up? And most of the time they're going to say, no, that's fine. Come on in. Or they're going to say, I've already had my vaccination. Come on in, or something like that. And that's good. It makes their job easier. But if they say, yeah, please wear your mask, I'm wearing my mask. I have it around my neck so I can just pull it up. And if they act very hesitant, like, I don't know, I don't want anybody to come in the house, blah, 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 COVID, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to say, you got a great point, Miss Betty. Here, let me write your phone number down because I'm parked right out front. I can call you right back from my car, and I'll give you this free information over the phone before I leave the neighborhood. So write down her number or his number, walk back out to your car, and call them up and proceed to do a presentation over the phone, do a telesales. You don't even have to walk back up to get a signature. Everything is on your Slice iPad. Just do a telesales. If you've never done a telesales, you ought to go through just do a couple practice runs sometime today or tonight or tomorrow to see how simple it is. And then if you have questions, call your manager or call me or put the question up on GroupMe so everybody can see your question. It's kind of good to know how to do both of them, but I think it's safe to say everybody that can do both of them has their favorite. Some people prefer telesales. Some people like face-to-face sales. Some people like them both. Some people don't like them both, and they don't write any business. But it's kind of good to be well-rounded and know how to do both. Because like if you live in the Southeast United States and we get a couple inches of snow, everybody's stuck at home. Nobody goes anywhere. In North Carolina, if it snows an inch, schools close early, everybody's running to the grocery store. It's almost like a panic. That's a great time to do telesales because people are at home. They're not out and about. They're not going to go see the grandkids. They're not going to go get their hair done. They're not going to the doctor's appointment. They're not outside raking leaves or fixing flowers. They're inside. And that's a good time to catch them on the phone. And that's what we want to do is catch them, because if we can't catch them, we can't do a presentation. So it's kind of good to be well-rounded at both. You know, this is your career. You want to be on top of your game, and you want to be real successful with this, and you want to be able to handle any curveballs that come your way. If we get 2 inches of snow and we can't go out and see the people because we're in the Southeast United States, telesales. You know, if you're up north, if you're in Michigan, it's no big deal if you get 2 inches of snow. That's normal. That's almost like rain. But in the Southeast, it's a big deal. So it's good to know everything that's going on with your business, because this is your business. This is not your job. You don't work for me. You don't work for Senior Life. You don't work for Ron Powell. You don't work for Rob Ellsbury. You don't work for your manager, whether it's Doug or Larry or Franz, Susan, John, makes no difference. You work for yourself. This is your business. We're here to guide you along, help you stay focused in the right direction, help remind you, don't worry about what's happened. Don't worry about what you can't change. Don't worry about it, because nothing's going to change anyway. Focus on what you can control and what you can change, which is how many people you go see, how much effort you put into this business, how much you try to sharpen your skills, et cetera, et cetera. Enough of that. I just want to touch about the trip we've got. Let's see, Larry wants to talk about the follow-up leads. Let me mention those. The follow-up leads, as I put on the group, they are the second tab at the bottom of the Hinton DM file. DM stands for direct mail. The follow-up leads, they're only $2 each, which that's a good thing. And what a follow-up lead is, that's a lead. It was a fresh lead maybe 8 or 9 months ago, maybe a year and a half ago. It's a lead that the agents could go back and revisit with. They're only $2 each. Sometimes you'll have a higher instance of disconnected numbers. Maybe there's been a death, but they're only $2 each. There's sales in there because, and Benita Fowler proved that this week. She made a sale on the follow-up lead this week. She had a tremendous week, by the way. She was right behind Gary Blazer, almost 4,000. But you know, so a lead could have said no last year for whatever reason to the agent. They're not going to buy it. They got to think about it. They got to pray about it, whatever. But when you talk to them a year later, when it's a follow-up lead, some of those no's from last year will be yeses today. And why will some of them be yeses today? There's different reasons. Maybe their finances have really improved. Maybe they had a death in the family and it woke them up to the high cost of funerals. Maybe COVID has made them feel more urgency to go ahead and get it taken care of and stop putting it off. Because, it's human nature to put stuff off a lot of times. And same is true for the people that mail these cards back or call the commercials and so forth. But when you work at a follow-up lead, you don't ever want to say, yes, ma'am, last year you called that commercial, or last year you mailed this card back. Don't say that. Just say, a while back, you had mailed the card in for the free information. A while back, you called one of our TV commercials for some free information. Just say a while back. That way you're telling the truth. A while back could be last month or last year. Just say a while back. And when you say a while back, you had mailed in one of our cards for the free information, Miss Betty probably gets 3, 4, 5, or 6 of these cards almost every month from other final expense companies. Most times she throws them in the trash. Most times she'll throw them in the trash can, just like ours. She'll most times throw them in the trash can. But occasionally they respond and mail it back. And when she mails it back, that's because she has more information than she did the previous several months or previous few years. But when you say a while back you mailed the card in, she might be thinking about the card she mailed in a few weeks ago or last week. So it's someone that had an interest in insurance. If they had an interest last year, they probably still have an interest now, unless they've actually really bought some insurance. So you go see the people, you have a conversation. Just start off. A while back, you requested the free information about a while back you requested free information, yada, yada, yada. And just go in the same conversational mode that you would normally have if it was a fresh lead. If you're an experienced agent, I always go with the freshest leads. Follow-up leads, I can make sales, but I have a lot more no's in between the yeses, and that pulls down my profit per hour. However, if I'm a fairly new agent, they're a great way to get yourself a lot of activity. They're a great way to get a lot of practice in. And if you make one sale out of every 20 of them, 20 of them is only $40 investment. You're way, way ahead of the game. Not to mention you can get referrals, and you can also tee the leads of those leads also. But they have them available. Maybe we get Bonita to talk about how she's doing so well with those. Maybe next Friday or maybe on GroupMe. But she had a good week. I'm not sure how many sales she made off of the follow-up leads. It was at least one that I know of. And they work. You just remember, if you're pretty experienced in this, you want to go with the best lead you can get your hands on, because you'll make more profit per hour. But if you're kind of new, if your money's low, get follow-up leads and get busy. We've had some agents on our team that would always say, well, I don't have the money to invest in leads or whatever. Or they may have the money, but they're scared to invest in leads. Now we've got $2 follow-up leads. Don't be scared about that. They do work. You just got more no's in between the yeses, but they do work. And you're going to have the same kind of conversation with them. 98% the same as you would if it was a fresh lead. It's just a while back you had requested. We actually will say that at the front door. A while back you mailed the card in for the free information. So let's talk about the Harrah's casino trip coming up. It'll be in May, and it's based on production issued, not submitted, but production that issues for January, February, and March. And the previous few years, Senior Life would have one annual trip per year, and it was top of the line, all inclusive, 5-star resort. You didn't pay for anything. They'd even pay for part of your trip getting there. But they're going to have 4 trips this year, one per quarter, one every 3 months. And the first one's going to be at Harrah's casino and resort in North Carolina, the mountains of North Carolina. And it's based on production issued for January, February, and March. So what are the requirements? Well, if you issue you have to issue $12,000 total for those 3 months just to be able to attend. So let's think about that 12,000. That's the first step, and we'll look at the other ones in a moment. But 12,000 a month. 12,000 per quarter, and there's 3 months in a quarter. That's $4,000 a month that we have to average in issue business. $4,000 a month. Now we know the average premium is about $50 a month, and 50 times 12 is 600. So 4,000 per month divided by 600 is about about 6.5. That means we have to issue 6.5 average size apps per month to make the trip. We might as well say 7 apps. Let's don't even say 6.5. Issue 7 apps in 1 month, not per week, but per month for 3 months in a row. You can go you'll be able to go to the trip at Harrah's Resorts Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You don't have to pay for a room. There is a $500 buy-in. I will pay for the buy-in for you, so you don't have to pay to be there. It's completely free. I'm going to pay the $500 buy-in. If that's the only level you qualify for, what's holding you back? We want everybody to go. Then the next step is if you issue $8,000 over the first 3 months, January, February, and March, then you go on the trip, and it's only a $250 buy-in. Well, if you qualify for step number 2, I'm going to take care of the buy-in. You don't have to pay to go. It's going to be completely free. It's for you and one member, one guest of your choosing. It could be your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend. It could be your mother. It could be anybody. It could be your best buddy, whatever. And then if you make the $12,000 buy, 12,000 average per month for the quarter, there's no buy-in. You just go completely free. And they've got qualifications. That's for individual producers. They got qualifications for managers also. But the thing is, you should be able to issue $4,000 a month for 3 months in a row, so you can go on a nice vacation. Gives you something to shoot for. We're in the early stages of the quarter. We're just now getting on the first half of January. We're about 1/6 of the way through. That means we're about 16.6% of the way through, if you want to look at it that way. So we've got plenty of time to make it, and we want everybody to be there possibly that can make it, because there are going to be people from around the country there. It's good to be introduced to them. It's good to listen to them talk about their experiences with Miss Jones or Mr. Jones, some of the hilarious situations they come across occasionally, and pick up words of wisdom and have a good time. So you ought to shoot for it. It's only about 7 applications a month. If you divide that by 4 weeks, that's just under 2 applications per week getting issued.